Okay, this piece was a larger version of the little guy, and it sat right here on my glossy sticker paper. There's a backing sheet there, and this front is sticker paper. So it would have looked kind of like that. And what I did is, using my watercolor and my watercolor brush, I went around, I cut it out, and then went around all of the figure with watercolor. Now, what that left me with is a matte background, and it looks like this little fella is stuck onto the paper, but actually he's part of the paper. The watercolor on this glossy paper kind of rendered the background matte. So then I added some Sharpie markers and etc. So now when I take this off, it will be a sticker. Now I haven't applied it to anything. Let's see if I can get it off on the corner. I rounded the corners just to make it harder because a sharper corner separates the sticker from. Let's see if I can find a place that I could literally put it on. I know I have some envelopes here, so let me try that. Tucked under, so tucked under here, and let me see if I can get this corner up just so you can get a feel for what it looks like. I just don't dare stick it until I'm prepared to know where I'm going to use it. Probably in one of my little zines. I just love making the zines. And I like a few plain ones, and I can just stick things to them. This is getting to be a bit of a challenge here with these rounded corners. Hold on. Okay. I thought it was the I thought it was the matte clear, but no, as I said before, this is glossy white. Glossy white. So there is no see-through thing. It's going to be opaque wherever I lay it down, but it does have a sticky back. I just wanted to show you that. It was a bit of a problem getting this up. Usually the clear matte I can flick and get it open, so technically I could just shape it a different way. I didn't plan to do this. I had just cut this little guy out, and then I was going to fussy cut him later, but then I got on to how nice my watercolors work on the matte labels, like this one here. This is a used matte label, because what was printed on here, and this is matte. I'm showing you the shiny, because what was printed on here got transferred to another page, much like I transferred this design. This paper is a booklet, and this design was transferred, but it leaves a little residue, as I probably have mentioned before. I've done a couple of videos on this, I think, and I don't know if I've uploaded them or not, but I tried to do them. But anyway, this is the matte clear label. As you can see, wherever I place this will be see-through to some extent, a little translucent rather than transparent, because I've painted all over this. But now I have a sticker, and I could just stick this down, anywhere. And this is all the watercolor. Anything you see that's kind of darky, like this part right in here, is a bit of grunge left over from the transfer. Not the blue so much as the gray and dark bits. But I get double use out of my transfers done on the clear matte labels. Now you can't transfer off of this glossy stuff. I've tried it, and it doesn't work. So I don't like the glossy. I don't even know why I got it, but I like the idea of this. I like the fact that because he's glossy, he looks like he was stuck on there, and he's really not. He's just part of this, and I just painted around it. So I will be doing some more of that, because I really like that better. It adds the glossiness of just a figure. Of course, you could achieve the same thing if you fussy cut that figure. But how much easier is it to just cut around it like I did and then just color in the background? It's a bit tricky to, especially some of the smaller ones that I have, to get him cut. So there is another experiment, and I think this one has a potential use. And you're not throwing away all that background that you cut around. The other thing is, and now it's sticky. Of course, you can make like see-through washi tape from it by just adding color. So even the bits and pieces that I have extra, I'll just color them with watercolor because they make their tape. But I thought this might be useful for somebody who has gotten the glossy paper like I did, the sticker paper from online labels, and really not liking it as much as the matte. So now I have another really interesting use for it. So many things you can do. You just can't transfer the ink from, this is inkjet ink, and you can't transfer it like I do with the online matte clear labels. The ink transfers beautifully. I've been transferring like crazy, like over here. I have used it so much, and there's another one I transferred. And this is actually a residue of a piece that I used to transfer, but I drew over it and painted over it. So once I've pushed all the ink as much as I can off of the inkjet print, I saved the bits and pieces. And let me see if I can show you some, just so you know. I save all of these. I used to throw them away, but not anymore. Not even this piece here, because it's got sticky back on it. But it has residue from something that didn't transfer either. I didn't put this hand cell gel on it. And it's a sticker, another clear sticker. So the things I can do with it is take my watercolors and the water brush and do what I've just shown, like the backgrounds, or you can create a figure like her. I just had a piece which could have been just something like this and just watercolored on top of it. This would be residue inkjet, I think. Yeah, that got squished, and the reason it looks squishy is because it came in contact with the gel medium when I was trying to transfer it. It had such a vibrant color on it that it took the ink that was on the label and created this dendrite looking thing. So I could actually just use it the way it is, because it is kind of interesting. See, it's very subtle. But I'll probably do something else with it, because some of the places are not as interesting. And what has happened is it was, as I said, matte. And the parts that didn't transfer, like the blue ink, remains matte. However, anything that transferred a good bit of the ink has made the matte online label residue paper have a little bit of glittery, shiny stuff, because the gel medium kind of takes the matte finish off. You see, any place that you don't see the glistening lamp is still matte. And places you see the glistening lamp as I travel across, like in the middle, it's definitely gone. The matte finish on this label is definitely gone. But the blue is still ink. So anyway, I can render the whole thing non-shiny. If I could add the non-shiny to this very glossy paper with watercolor, and I know I can. And this was another one that was just like that, but it has hardly any shiny bits left. I did see a few, but it kind of adds a little interest anyway. So that's my long-term experiment now with using the hand sanitizer, spreading it on whatever booklet paper I want to use, making sure, and I use these cosmetic sponges. I find they do the best job. And they leave a little bit left on here so that if you didn't get a good contact with, like I did up here, you know, you could just lift it up partially and then dab it. Even though it's picked up some of the ink, dab it and then place it back down and work your fingers, and sometimes you get it. So these are the best I have found to use. Anyway, I have now all of these wonderful grungy lefted labels. One of them you see is a good size. It's a big one. And they all have the backing sheets still on them, so they have the adhesive that can be used. Some of them have bits and pieces that didn't transfer, which I kind of like that, by the way. You know, this is, for example, pieces that didn't transfer. But now this could be tape. So I could run a piece of color down there or over it or around it, do whatever I want. And then this now could be a big sticker or parts of stickers. As I said, it's really a lot of fun. And there's something in me that likes using every bit. Some transfers work better than others. This one took almost everything, but it left the shadow of the writing, which will be interesting when it gets to be a... Now, one thing you do remember is if you're really going for a transfer, and you know you are when you're printing one of these labels, you have to remember to, if it has print on it or text, to reverse it. So this text, even though you know, when I use it as a sticker, it's going to be unreadable, but I will paint on top of that. And you can use other kind of paint. It'll take many markers you can use. I mean, you don't have to use watercolor, but I like the watercolor because when I use this as tape, it leaves a slight translucency, like I said down there somewhere. Yeah, even though, because watercolor is a little translucent. And so when I add more watercolor, because this is a matte clear label, it will be translucent, unlike the watercolor I added to this glossy paper, because it is not translucent to begin with. So I just make it less shiny. That's what the watercolor just sort of looks takes the shine off it, unlike the little boy there who has definitely the original glossy paper. Okay, those are my notes for today. So a year from now, when I'm looking at stuff and saying, gee, I wonder how I did that, all I have to do is then remember when I did it and look it up with the dates on my video. See, this one here is, like I said, a piece of discarded, already transferred stuff, and then I painted over it. And as I showed you, whatever I cut off of this, whether it's a small piece or a big piece, you'll see, like if you have book text underneath or some other artwork, it'll show through. All right, I think I've beat this horse pretty much, and I'm going to call it quits for now.